family. When I saw you, I remembered the Holy Prophet and blessings surrounded me. Oh my revered ones, you alone were the means of solace to me in Medina. Whenever I saw you, I got the satisfaction of my heart and peace of mind. Oh my elders, just as I was a burden to Uthman in Hijaz, I was the burden to Muawiyah in Syria. He did not like to send me to Basra or Egypt, because he has his foster brother Abdullah ibn Sarah as the governor of Egypt, and the son of his maternal aunt Abdullah ibn Amir as the governor of Basra. He has now sent me to a place which is a desert where I do not have any supporter other than Allah. By Allah, I know Allah alone is my helper, and for him alone I will not care for any wilderness. According to Allama Subayti, after this Abu Dar, who had grown old and weak, raised his hands towards the sky and said, O Allah, be witness that I am friend of the Al-Bayt and will always be their friend for your sake as well as for the sake of the hereafter, even if I am cut to pieces in my love for them. After that Ali said, O Abu Dar, may Allah have mercy on you. We very well know that the cause of your being driven from place to place is only your love for us, the descendants of the Holy Prophet. Abu Dar knew that love for the Al-Bayt is the foundation of Islam. According to Jazari, Imam Ja'far al-Sadiq has quoted the Holy Prophet as saying, just as everything has its foundation, the foundation of Islam is the love for us, the Al-Bayt 40. Anyway, when these great personages returned to Medina after having seen off Abu Dar sorrowfully, Uthman got highly displeased with them. Atham Kufi writes, Abu Dar started for Rabza and Ali and other companions came back. The Caliph sent for Ali and asked him why he had gone out of Medina to bid farewell to Abu Dar and why he had taken a group of the companions with him, in defiance of his orders. Ali asked him if it was incumbent upon him to carry out the orders of Uthman even if they conflicted with the obedience to Allah and the truth. He, then, swore by the name of Allah that he would never do it. 41. Abu Dar was passing his days at Rabza in utter solitude and loneliness. There was nobody to look after him to inquire about his condition. He had no means of solace. Had his family been with him he would not have felt his loneliness so painful. They were still in Syria and Abu Dar was driven out of Syria to Medina and then banished to Rabza. Abdul Hamid Jadid as-Sihar writes that when Muawiyah came to know that Uthman had exiled Abu Dar he sent his wife with others to Rabza. When Abu Dar's wife came out of her house she had only a bag with her. Muawiyah said to the people, look at the belongings of the preacher of austerity. At this Abu Dar's wife said, it contains a few coins and not dirhams or dinars, and those too, only two suffice for the expenses. When the wife reached Rabza she saw that Abu Dar had constructed a masjid there. Various historians have mentioned the construction of a masjid by Abu Dar at Rabza. We find its mention in the books of Tabari, Ibn Athir and Ibn Khaldun. In the Arabic copy of Tabari there is a sentence that Abu Dar had drawn a line of a masjid there and at that place he used to offer his prayers, just as today also people collect some earth in a jungle and name it a masjid. It was not a proper masjid, nor was it possible for him to construct a masjid like the one of today. According to Abdul Hamid, during the days of Hajj when people passed through Rabza they offered prayers in the masjid of Abu Dar. This means that was not a populated place. If there had been a population there it would have been mentioned in some book of history that the people of that place offered prayers in that masjid, just as a mention is found of the pilgrims offering their prayers in it. Allama Subayti writes that Abu Dar was in a state of loneliness and was passing his days in such a condition at Rabza that no human being could be seen there, except an occasional wayfarer who sometimes passed that way. There was not a place where he could take refuge. There was a tree under which he lived. There was no arrangement for his food. There were poisonous grasses all around, and they caused his and his wife's death. 42. After that the author adds that the reason to send Abu Dar to such a place was only to stop his speeches, so that nobody could hear him, since he had a charm in his tongue. Whenever he spoke the truth, which shook the foundations of the government. In short, Abu Dar was leading his life at Rabza with his family in extremely straitened circumstances. There was no sympathizer there. But those honest men who had loved and reverence for him in their hearts used to go to see him. According to the historian Wachidi, Abul Aswad Dwali says, I wished with all my heart to visit Abu Dar and ask him why he was turned out. Therefore, I went to him at Rabza, and asked him if he had come out of Medina of his own free will or he had been forcibly expelled. He said, Brother, how do I tell you that when I was sent to Syria, I thought that I had gone to a place which was an important place of the Muslims. I was happy there, but I was not allowed to stay there and was called back to Medina. When I reached there, I consoled myself with the idea that was the place to which I had migrated and where I had received the honor of companionship of the Holy Prophet. But, alas, I was turned out of that place also, and now I am where you see. After that he said, O Abul Aswad, listen to me. I was sleeping in the Prophet's masjid one day. By chance the Holy Prophet came in. He woke me up and said, O Abu Dar, why are you sleeping in the masjid? Abu Dar, the sleep overwhelmed me and suddenly I went to sleep. The Prophet s. Tell me what you will do when you are turned out of this masjid. Abu Dar, I will go to Syria then, because signs of Islam are found there. It is also a place of jihad. The Prophet s. What will you do when you are turned out of that place also? Abu Dar, I will draw my sword at that time and will behead the man who turns me out. The Prophet s. I give a far better advice to you. Abu Dar, what is that advice? The Prophet s. You should let yourself be dragged when you are dragged, and that you should accept what is told to you and should not fight. O Abul Aswad, according to the Prophet's advice I listened to them and accepted what they said. I still listen to them to accept what they say. By Allah, he will take revenge on Uthman for what he has done to me, and he will be proved the worst sinner in my case when he reaches in the court of Allah. 43. The narrators of this authentic tradition are highly reliable and trustworthy, as written by Allama Amini in his book Al-Ghadar. Somebody asked Abu Dar during his stay at Rabza, O Abu Dar, do you have any wealth? He said, my wealth is my deeds. He also said, by wealth I mean the worldly wealth, and I want to know if you have any worldly wealth or not. Abu Dar said, I never spent a day or a night with treasure or the worldly wealth with me. I have heard from the Holy Prophet that the treasure of man is his grave, i.e. the wealth of the world is nothing, but the conduct of man must be good, because this will be of use at every place, especially in the grave. The wealth of the world remains in the world, and the good conduct benefits you in the hereafter. 44. Allama Majlisi, quoting Sheikh Mufid, narrates from Abu Amama Bahili that Abu Dar, after reaching Rabza, wrote his tragic experiences to Huzaifa ibn al-Yaman, the companion of the Holy Prophet s. who was probably at Kufa. In that letter he has given some pieces of advice and described his troubles and hardships. He writes, in the name of Allah, the Beneficent, the Merciful. My dear Huzaifa, I write to you to fear Allah in such a way that your crying exceeds limits. O brother, renounce the world, for the sake of Allah. Keep yourself awake the whole night in the worship of Allah and give your body and soul to hardship in the way of Allah. These are the useful practices. O brother, it is necessary for a man, who knows that the person with whom Allah is displeased will have to remain in hell, to turn away from the worldly comforts, keep awake all the night for him and suffer hardship in the way of Allah. O brother, it is essential for the man, who knows that the pleasure of Allah is a message to live in heaven, to try constantly to seek his pleasure in order to get deliverance and success. O brother, one should not mind the separation of his family for the pleasure of Allah. Only the pleasure of Allah is the security of heaven. If Allah is pleased, all our affairs will be accomplished and the hereafter will be agreeable. But if Allah is displeased, it is difficult for us to have a happy end. O my brother, a person who wishes to be in the company of the prophets and saints in the heaven, should mold his life as I have done, and should act upon what I have mentioned above. O Huzaifa, you are one of those people to whom I feel pleasure to tell of my pains and sufferings. In fact, I console myself by telling you what befalls or has befallen me. O Huzaifa, I have seen the tyranny of the tyrants with my own eyes and have heard their offensive words with my own ears. Hence, I was compelled to express my views on those disgusting topics.